All right. Welcome to week 5 and day 12. It's plus or minus a couple days. We can always count the, I was looking at my list and I don't always count the Fun Fridays a day. So we might be a couple more days than that. I don't know. But anyway, for our assignments, this is called day 12. And so today all you have is the entomology case, Dr. Krinsky's, which I believe is a real case. I don't think it was made up. And that's what we'll work on today. And then there's a forensic files video, and that'll be our last, probably be our last forensic files video. I was looking at how much time we have left, and I was thinking we had one more week to do, and then we do. So since we end on May 15th, we're not going to get to the handwriting analysis stuff, and we're barely going to touch on the blood spatter, unfortunately. So, but that's okay. We can cover that kind of stuff at a later date or something. So, anyway, so we are doing this assignment. Scroll way down because it's getting, the lists are getting long since we're in week 5. But we're doing this one, the entomology case, Dr. Krinsky. So just go ahead and open that one up, and then let me know when you're ready. When you're opening that, don't forget with the forensic files video that watch them on, YouTube. I mean, they are YouTube videos, so maybe on your phones if you don't have a phone. Maybe you can use a different computer or borrow somebody's phone, or if you have Netflix on at home, you could probably search for files. And this one's called a leg to stand on because the next section is anthropology. So. And I believe this is our last bug thing. Tomorrow we start on our stuff. So, does everybody have this open?
Yes.
All right, cool. Thank you. So this case is a case where bugs were really important in determining the, who goes to jail. So it's about a murder of a prostitute. And so let's open up. I'll open this up for us. I don't know if I did. It seems like I did. I'll open it. Everything on one sheet. I have to let that load. My sound gets all weird on the recordings. We're just going to sit here and look at this today. Sound fun? Oh, there it goes. Finally. Okay, so here's the case. A dead woman's body was found rolled in a carpet along the I-95 in Greenwich, or I don't even know if that's the right way to say that, but Connecticut, around 4 p.m. on September 21st, 1986. The investigator called on Dr. William Krinsky at the Yale University Medical School on September 22nd and asked him to examine the insect evidence from the carpet and to help determine approximate time of death, that postmortem interval, the PMI, of the woman. So looking at the stuff that Dr. Krinsky did, he started off on the 22nd when they called him, and he visited the police barracks around, in the afternoon to examine the materials left on the carpet from the victim's body. He collected a large maggot mass, a number of puparia, so a bunch of insects in the non-feeding stage between larvae. You guys know, we've been talking about that. They're in the cocoon. And a few damaged adult blowflies. So if you remember from last week, if their wings were crumpled, that was the only time they collected them because they were just getting ready to fly off. So then he identified those guys as black blowflies. He didn't find either eggs nor empty puparia, just maggots and maggots, pupa, and the adults getting ready to leave. He also noted that most of the maggots were star larvae, stage 3. And then on the afternoon of September 24th, he visited the site where the body was found with one of the police detectives. So this is a couple days later. Let's see. Well, her body wasn't found. It was found on the 21st, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's when she was killed yet. He went out to the scene 3 days later. Anyway, so he visited the site and collected additional insect evidence, as well as made other environmental observations, including the vegetation where the body was placed, the direction of the sunlight, etc. He noted his observations and took the insect evidence to the lab for examination and analysis. So then when he was looking at that stuff, he started thinking of these questions. So he has to, besides that he has those insects to look at and that, he knows that chart, hasn't memorized the chart that we were looking at last week. But he has to, being the specialist here, he has to get that as close to the right time as possible. And so to figure out that information, he developed these questions to kind of guide him. And so his first question was, how tightly was the body rolled in the carpet, and was it bound with anything? So it turns out that the answer was that it was rolled really tightly. The carpet was folded at both ends and then tied with a rope. So kind of like when you make a burrito, which is a terrible thought. His next question was, how was the, there's lots of information to read through, by the way. So his next question was, how was the carpet handled after it was opened? So, like at the lab or even there at the scene. So the carpet was opened in the presence of a medical examiner, and then it's in plastic bags and kept in the car. Now, why would he need to know how the carpet was handled? Why is that an important question? What do you guys think?
To know if it had been tampered with.
Yeah. And if it was open, if it was so tightly sealed, it would be harder for the bugs to get into. And if it had, it's like free for all, the bugs can come in easily. So his next question was, did the vegetation or any staining of the ground indicate how long the body was on the ground where it was found? The answer that he found was that during the site visit on the 24th, he found the vegetation the body was found was damp, darkened, and depressed. Kind of sunk in a little bit. Maybe it was soft. He also noted the odor still remaining at the site. So if you think about, if you've ever come across a dead body and it gets moved, if you can still smell it on the ground, it's been a while, right? So he estimated that the body might have been there about 7 days. What does that, if we're thinking about what we know about bugs, and earlier I said that there were maggots, there were pupa, and there were also, fresh flies getting ready to fly away. Normally that's way before 7 days, right? But this information suggests that it's been more than 7. So right now we're contradicting, we're the bugs are saying one thing, the scene is saying something else. And I'm sure just about every case is probably that way, where you have to really solve, work through that process. His next question then was, where was the body placed in relationship to the environment? So was it direct sunlight? Was it shade? Was it blocked by something, under a tree? So it says that the body was damper than its surroundings. He noted heavy mite infestation on the site, as well as sunlight on the right side of where the rug had been found in the late afternoon. So there is some direct sunlight. What would the direct sunlight do to a body?
Speed the decomposition.
Exactly. So that's important to know, and it also, again, makes things kind of more complicated. So then he asked if any of the roaches were found alive. I'm guessing that when he's talking about what was on this one, maybe, I'm not sure. That seems like a random out there question, because we didn't hear anything about roaches before now. But it says no. What were the weather conditions during the month of September? So he requested and received a record of local weather data in order to calculate the accumulated degree hour, that ADH that we have done in the past. Why do we need to know the conditions for the whole month of September?
See if any evidence got washed away.
Yeah, like, was it an especially warm September? Like, September is always, it's kind of like spring. You never know what it's going to be like. Might be hot still, might have a cooler day, might be a rainy day, whatever. So it's important to know, so that we can figure out if that sped up the decomposition of the body too. And then what were the autopsy findings? So he spoke with a medical examiner prior to receiving the requested final report, which stated that the cause of death, and noted the presence of many maggots in the various openings of the victim's body. That really just tells us, thinking again about the bugs, whenever there's maggots in the openings, that's usually early on. But
Can you type in red possibly? It's hard for me to read it.
yep, I will when we get there. We haven't had to type anything yet.
Okay.
So at the laboratory, we have to look at his laboratory stuff. He processed the collected insects differently. Some were pinned. Remember how maybe you guys made a bug collection and at park, or when you're younger, where you pin them to a board or something. So he did that. And then he also preserved in ethanol some of them. And then some were made into slides to study the biological structures. And then others were reared, meaning that they were grown. So he took them and allowed them, fed them and kept them warm and all of that stuff, so that they could grow into adults. So laboratory work was done to identify and calculate the accumulated degree hour in order to estimate, when that person died. So when he grew and died, he needed to know when the adult flies would emerge from the pupa in order to identify the insects and to estimate that time since death. So he has to figure out what the earliest possible time of when the eggs were laid. Now remember, we don't have eggs to look at. We only have maggots. So he processed the collected maggots and pupa from the carpet, and this is just listing out how he did that. Okay, I'm going to put this down. Obviously, there's lots of steps involved. So for the emerging flies, though, he observed that they emerge from the pupa at 77 degrees. 2 of them emerged on the 25th, so that was the day after he went to the scene, and 4 days after the body was found. 6 flies on the 26th, 2 on the 26th. Oh, that's morning and afternoon. 25 on the 27th, and then it kind of decreases back again. So maybe the peak day was about 6 days after the body was found. So then he was able to calculate an accumulated degree hour, that weird heat temperature that we were looking at, so that he could figure out what the best heat and how much time it takes for the insects to grow. Because remember we talked about that if the insects don't have the right temperature, then you're going to slow their growth or even kill them off. So we combined all of that stuff together along with the weather data to calculate the ADH, and then counted backwards to estimate the first possible time that the egg deposited. So first, before we go on to the conclusion and the outcome, that doesn't sound like very much fun, does it? I don't know, maybe growing the bugs part might be, but there's a lot of steps here, right? And there's a lot of stuff involved in making sure that your calculation is accurate. Because remember, if he says that, like has too big of a window or too small of a window, then somebody's going to get away with this murder. So that's not to bore you to sleep. So on February 2nd, so this is, what's that? October, November, December, January. 5 months later, he sent a letter to Dr. Henry Lee, the director of the State Police Forensic Laboratory in Connecticut, stating his conclusion on the most likely date and time of when the eggs were laid, and outlined his analysis. He testified in 1990. So this took, with that, 3 years before it went to court, which I can't say these words, my goodness, corroborated other evidence and witness statements against the suspect on trial. The result, it was a guilty verdict, and the defendant was sentenced to 60 years in jail, equivalent to the life sentence in Connecticut. So, a bit more stuff. I know you guys are probably like, I don't love his case stuff, so let me find his actual case notes and stuff. Yeah, so these were just his notes, which you can really see on here. But if you think about it, like you're working through this in a laboratory, you would totally have like your notebook, and you would be writing. You could see that he drew like a picture and all of that stuff. This is that. Remember that I said the weather for the month of September. So this is the temperature and precipitation. All of those details for the 1st through the 23rd, looks like, since they found the body on the 21st. And that's just a little bit more of so the average monthly temperature is 63 degrees. So not too hot, not too cold, but that doesn't mean that there weren't those fluctuations between really high temperatures. You know how September is. Some days it's like pushing 100, and then the next time it's like 60, so, or below. As far as rain, looks like there was just a little bit of rain, but not tons of it. A lot of cloudy days, maybe not tons of direct sun, which would help slow that decomposition. Let's see if this is any different. Yeah, that's all the stuff that we went through already. Okay. Okay, so thinking about all that stuff that happened, what was his task with this to help in the race? What was his job?
Study the bugs found within the carpet.
The bugs found within the carpet and also seen, right? He did grab people. And then also, like, he had to take into account the climate, the temperature, and the precipitation because that affects the bugs. So maybe we should say he also had to study the climate. Ready for number 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what types of evidence and information did he gather? So there were maggots, pupa, we'll just say crumple-winged wing flies. And then didn't he say there were were there beetles or there were mites? Maybe just insects at the scene. What else did he gather?
Wasn't it damaged flies?
Yeah, and I think that must mean the crumpled, like the crumpled wing. But maybe it could just be that they're damaged because they were like stuck in the rug. Maybe I should. So should we switch that to just damaged flies? The crumpled wing.
Crumpling would imply that it was new.
Yeah, and so maybe we don't necessarily know that detail. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Maybe I shouldn't make that assumption. I would be a terrible. I'm fired. I'm already fired from the job. um. Oh, and then the weather during September. Um, how the evidence was handled. And then how tightly the rug was wrapped, right? Around the victim. Am I missing anything? I can't think of anything else. Ready for 3?
I am.
Okay. So what kind of observations did he make about the collected insect evidence? So now we're not looking, like he's already collected it and he looked at it. Do we know anything about the insects themselves? And that's probably that section that I skipped. I don't know, let me see. So able to grow them. Looks like because of the ADA sentence right here, he could count backwards to estimate the age of the insects. So should we say something about by growing the insects, he was able to determine the ADH, which I forgot was the accumulated degree hour, that helps insects grow, and from that he could figure out when the insects first appeared. Right. Oops. Let me put a question. And then because of that, he could figure out time of death. So maybe we should add that too, huh? So from that, he could calculate time of death. All right. For number 4, how did he process the blowfly puparia collected from the carpet on September 22nd? We kind of just said that. And why? That's the instars. Oh, here's the puparia. All puparia, 66 dark, 7 pale brown, 7 intermediate reddish brown, were reared at 77 degrees for development. So I'm thinking we just copy that. It just wants to know how they were grown, right? Yeah. Oh, it looked like it was smaller. Oh, that's because of the 12. Here for you. Or you just go up and copy and paste it like I did. But so what he did was collected.
What section did you paste it from?
Oh, sorry. I got it from right here on page. What page is that? 3. And it's this one right here, letter D. So let me highlight it for you. Did you find it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, so he collected those, and what does this tell us about the different colors of the pupa? What does that mean? Yeah. Yep, exactly. So remember from that chart that they got darker as time went, right before they, bust out of their little cocoons and become little flies. So most of them were at towards the end in that darker section. What are some factors for number 5 that affect the insect cycle?
The temperature.
Yeah, for sure. That was the big one that we talked about last week. In this case, remember whether there was direct sunlight or not. So sunlight. Should we also add weather? Because they probably don't like it when it's raining, or maybe some of them do. I don't know. Maggots like moist environments. Maybe they're happy when it's raining. So weather.
Maybe like natural predators.
Ooh, yeah. For sure, because that's supposed to say natural predators, because, I mean, especially in this case, because it had been several days before the body was found, probably. Even being wrapped up, I mean, the bugs are going to get out. Think about how, like, bugs end up in your house, and you're just like, how did that even happen? Especially, like, right now with the ants. Like, spring is always sugar ant time, and they come in, and you don't know it until you see a little trail of them. But anyway, the point is that they can get into pretty tight places, so could get eaten by any predators nearby.
Maybe like the amount of food they eat.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was just about to say too. Good job. Amount of food available. You have to think about, I mean, like bugs are just, I mean, they're kind of like us. They need a certain amount of food and temperature and shelter and, water. So amount of food, maybe we should say amount of food and resources available. I mean, if you're a bug that eats dead bodies and you're wrapped up in a rug with them, I mean, your food is pretty much free. You're just there, and predators are going to take a little bit more time to get in, and you can probably grow maybe a little faster. Anything else? Might put, I can't think of anything. So then, in our own words, how is the insect life cycle applied to estimating the time? What should we say for that one?
I was gonna say maybe like using the age and time of arrival that the bug got there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
time of arrival. Because it's very consistent. It's fairly consistent, I would say. Time of death can be estimated pretty closely, right? And I know, like, that would be really gross because, like I've said lots of times, how much I hate maggots. I wouldn't be able to do this job. Like, growing the bugs would be fine, but to go and see maggots coming out of a dead human body, ugh.
And to have to like search for them too.
Yeah, and dig around and yeah.
Yeah, like it's one thing when you see like, I don't know, like a cockroach on the ground, but if you're searching through a dead body for one, then
Right. Looking in the ears and other places to find
yeah.
it. Ugh.
Mhm.
No, that's
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
what?
They said, "Oh, believe me, it's disgusting, and the stench is unbearable."
Yeah. I know, like, they have that stuff that you can put, like you can even take like Vicks or something, and something strong smelling, and put it underneath your nose. But I'm sure that doesn't even, like, how sometimes when something smells so bad you can taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do anything about that part of it.
Yeah, we had a welfare check for this old older gentleman that hadn't responded to his son's calls or anything, and when we got there, you could smell it from the outside.
Gosh.
And I put my SCBA on, and you could still smell it.
Ugh.
There was just no way that you could
Wait.
escape it.
Smell what?
Death.
Oh, he was
Okay, I
dead?
figured.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
So, do you know how long it had been?
No, not really. Our county coroner is the one that normally deals with that kind of
Yeah.
thing. We kind of just show up, we help get the body out of the house, and help paramedics transport it, or the county coroner transport the body.
Were there bugs?
Yeah, there were bugs. There were other foul-smelling things. I mean,
Liquids and
when
stuff, yeah.
yeah, when someone dies, they let loose all body
Everything.
functions.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was disgusting. It smelled, and I swear up and down that I'm gonna plug my nose next time, even in SCBA.
I know, like, what you said you had something on. What was that you had on? Like a respirator type thing?
So an SCBA is a self-contained breathing apparatus.
Okay.
It's the air tank that you normally see us wear.
Yeah, like in a fire.
So, and and that wasn't even. I mean, like, it was breaking through the seal.
Oh my gosh.
You could smell it.
So it had been a while.
Yeah, I think it had been like a week.
Was it like what was the temperature? Was it hot out, cold out, like summer?
It was January.
Oh, cold, and it still was that bad.
Yeah, it was in the house.
You don't really think about that part of the fire department's work. Like, you always
No,
think of fighting fires, but you do those other things too.
Yeah, we help out with certain things like that, and it gets even worse when you think about it. Like, if we were to have like a chemical spill here in Weezer, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, it's not just our department. It's not just FEMA. It's not just another department from another county. It's everyone showing up. Everyone's doing something. Even Ontario, because they have a really good hazmat team. I actually got to work with them this winter. They have the best equipment for hazmat situations.
Crazy. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that it's never like really the same.
Yeah, and it's actually a really good thing to know how someone died. I mean, so when someone dies, you always wear a respirator, because the fact that there's things that we could catch, like, for instance, our new epidemic, coronavirus. So,
And your respirator's
or
equipped to keep you from getting coronavirus? If somebody had died from coronavirus.
well, we just wear them for the fact that we don't know what they died of.
Right.
I mean, unless it's self-inflicted. But then again, it's just that we don't know what they had, so we wear them.
Yeah,
But
which is smart.
As far as responding to medical calls lately, we wear N95 masks. So.
And that one is
It's just the normal face masks that you see.
Okay.
Everyone wearing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's kind of interesting. The department runs certain calls, but it's pretty standard either way.
Yeah. No, that's super interesting, and it totally fits in with this stuff that that we're talking about, and you're just like, oh yeah, ugh, that's so gross.
Yeah, no, it's gross. It's gross.
Did you
You
feel
gotta be
like
careful what
puking?
I got home and I puked.
Yeah. That's pretty good that you were able to, you know, make it that long. I don't
Did you
know.
see the actual body?
Huh?
Did you see the actual body, or were you just like, could you just smell it?
No, I saw the actual body. It's definitely something that you don't forget, and you don't forget the smell. So
Yeah. Like, does
yeah.
it,
Yeah,
did it give you like nightmares or anything? Like thinking about that? Like, how do
No.
you
Um.
not let that kind of stuff affect you? Is it because it's so just out there that it just doesn't seem normal? It seems like a movie almost.
yeah. It seems like
So
surreal.
Yeah.
so when you're responding to the actual call, I mean, there's a different you're kind of in a different mode. You're kind of like in this mode of, because you're in the gear, you're in the all this stuff. It's kind of like if you think about
You're in
it,
badass.
Right.
you know. But when you get home and you actually have time to think about it, that's where you get in trouble.
Oh. So
Yeah,
then,
no,
do they train you like on how to deal with it? Like,
because really, I mean, you can cope with it, you can talk about it
yeah.
and get off your chest, but really, with getting rid of it, you know, there's nothing for that, and you know,
Yeah, like it's literally a memory. You're not gonna be able to.
Right.
yeah, no, I had some issues a couple months back, and it kind of threw me overboard.
Well,
So
yeah, I could see how easy it would too, because that's just not, it's not how you want to see people, or, and
no,
then you,
with stuff, you see people at their worst.
yeah,
Yeah, especially if they were murdered.
Yeah, I've
yeah,
never been to a murder, but
You
I've
what?
been to. I said I've never been to a murder.
thank
I
goodness.
had,
Oh,
thank
so the
goodness.
body you saw wasn't a murder?
No, this I can't really go into details about it,
Right.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
but
He's just
no, I've
old,
been,
right?
huh?
He's just old.
Uh, more or less, yeah. There were some other factors that played in it, but
Gotcha.
yeah. No, I've been to car accidents. I've seen someone who was sitting in the front seat driving the car and everything get just get totally smashed to the point where they're no longer in the driver's seat. They're in the passenger seat, still
They're like
buckled
all
in.
over the car.
No, I actually haven't been to one where there's been a patient that's been completely obliterated. I've been to pretty nasty ones where they've been pinned. We actually had a car accident weekend, which was actually fatality. We dubbed it fatality weekend,
Oh
Yeah.
my.
and it was on
It wasn't very
95.
long ago. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
it was. Yeah. Right after the second day, we got asked by Washington County Sheriff's Office to go investigate it. And so we went from me and other guy, a couple other guys went from going to being at that incident in our structure gear, because that's our protocols, is you have to be in structure gear
Hmm.
at those, to going to the station getting our wildland stuff, and we went up to Payette because there was a wildfire. It just I don't know if you know Mr. Dickerson. His
Yeah.
family owned his family owned that land, and it had caught. So we were up there, we were fighting that, and I say like 4 hours. Me and another guy built a fire line across about, I want to say 150 feet across. So yeah, it's definitely difficult. It was harder to think, going from, you know,
Yeah, two
one
extremes
incident-
almost.
oh yeah, it turned into two positive or two negatives to ruin the day. It was
Right.
I got home. I just went to bed. It was 4
Yeah,
o'clock.
that's
Didn't wake.
one that it was a lot of work, but also like emotionally that is a lot.
Oh yeah, a lot
Edward,
of that stuff takes an emotional toll on you.
For sure.
You don't. It's not just the medical. It's not just the car accidents. It's also the structure. You see these families who lose everything.
Yeah.
And if you heard about that apartment fire here last December,
Yeah, Wildwood.
yeah, Wildwood, that actually started in my grandmother's apartment.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I was on that fire too.
Oh
I had just been
gosh.
there like 20 minutes earlier.
So do you know Colton Breach then? He was on that fire too, I think.
Colton Breach.
Yeah. I think he was
I know.
reserve though.
I don't think so.
I don't think he
mean,
was there very long. He was one of our Indian Head students.
I know Cole Miller.
Mm.
He was on my department when I was over there at rural.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty. So like you have to have a pretty tough skin to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
Like to be able to, I mean, obviously some like even people with the most tough skin are gonna like this is a lot on some days, but like
hey
I
Edward,
know.
did you have to get your EMT to become a firefighter or what?
Actually, no. You're not required to. I mean, it is an option. It's
Yeah,
also an option that you can get the lesser point of it, the EMR.
yeah.
But actually, now that I got this in mind, if anyone here is interested in joining Weiser City Fire Department, we are having a cadet program, and you guys can actually go to the station and pick up an application. The only thing is that you have to sign for it, and you have to have at least a C average.
Okay.
So, and
So
then
I'm actually pretty interested in that. I was working on my EMT in Nampa, but then I moved to Weiser just recently. So
oh, that's cool.
and how old are you?
I'm 18.
Oh, you're 18. So you
Yeah.
actually wouldn't start as a cadet. You'd
Okay.
actually start where I am at right now.
Okay.
You would start as a rookie. You'd you'd be able to go on all calls. I mean, fires, medical, stuff like that. The only thing with cadets, or when I was over at rural, they called us juniors, which was actually kind of demeaning.
Right.
But no, you couldn't do live fire stuff like that because you were under 18.
Hmm.
Okay.
So,
How old are
Yeah.
you, Edward?
I'm actually 18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 19 this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you're interested, I don't know if you have my email or anything. You can get a hold of me. One of my actually no, the station manager is down there today. So if you're interested, I'd go talk to him. He's got applications and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm in Nampa right now, so
yeah,
but yeah, one of these days I'll have to swing by.
definitely. Yeah, it's actually a really cool experience.
Yeah, I've always been interested in it. My one of my best friends, he used to be my neighbor, and his father was, I think he's chief in Nampa. I mean, like he's pretty high up there. I don't know what you guys call him, but
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cheap. Yeah,
yeah, chief. Yeah, he's chief over in Nampa at station number 7. But
oh nice.
yeah, he was my neighbor.
My old chief when I was over at Weiser Rural. He used to be a captain over there at Nampa. So
Oh, really? That's cool. What's his name?
Tim Atwood.
It kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's been in the news a couple times. It was during his retirement from his uh, rise to power in Weezer. So
Oh,
yeah,
is his son? Did he name his son Matt Woods too, or does he even have a son?
I don't know. Actually, he never shared any details about his family. So
No, because I used to know a guy by the same name, but he also named his son Matt Woods.
yeah, but yeah, we got two departments down here. My personal opinion, if you want to get paid monthly, is go with city. If you don't care about getting paid monthly and are going for annual,
Okay.
you can go to rural. But
All right.
yeah, we
All
get
right.
paid monthly, and then we also have certain benefits. So
Over at rural or city?
over the city.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. Yes. Yep. I'll go ahead and stop the recording then here. Thanks for sharing all that. It's super interesting.
Yeah, I totally forgot. We're supposed to advertise it, but since this whole thing is
Right.
we're supposed to advertise it over there at the high school for career day.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you're 18, then there, because I got on with being 18 and being still in school.
Yeah.
Um, but if you're under 18, like, I mean, you can be 14 and you have to be going into ninth grade and have to have a C average, maintain a
Good.
C average.
So 14's the youngest?
Yep.
Wow.
I went.
Pretty.
Yeah. No, I went in when I was 16.
Really?
Yeah.
How long have you been there? Have you been there since then?
Yeah, I've been there since April of 2018.
Nice.
Wow.
So this is
That's
actually
awesome.
my second year as a volunteer fireman.
Yeah, and I like how like it totally puts all of the stuff that we're talking about into perspective. Like it's like you're seeing that kind of stuff and
Oh yeah, definitely. And we do some rescue. I mean, we have a relationship, especially with rural, because we have this mutual aid system. If search and rescue,
mhm.
we help out with that. So that kind of thing, like, okay, well, someone's this far along of being dead, something like that. It's something that you have to kind of write in your report. So
Yeah.
that way, there's nothing like that. The court can say that you did wrong. Scope of practice pretty much is what it is.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and